What's going on, guys? My name is Julian Young. I am the host of the Blockchain Brief, where every episode we are interviewing innovators and founders in the blockchain and crypto space. Today, I am beyond excited to have Raphael Kosman, the co-founder and CTO of TrustToken. Raphael, it's great to have you here and welcome to the Blockchain Brief.
Thanks for having me, Julian. Great to be on the show.
Yeah, no, of course, of course. So, would you mind introducing yourself and giving a quick background on you as well as your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background is mostly in engineering. I was lucky enough to get into programming at a very young age. I was learned to program on the TI-84 basic graphing calculators, and I made games on them that my friends would play. And then I went to Stanford to study computer science. And while I was there, focused on AI and on cryptography. And that was where I first got into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And then I had a chance to work at Palantir doing AI research for crime prediction, and later got recruited by Google Brain, which is Google's AI research division. And then at the end of 2016, I teamed up with my good friends and co-founders, Danny and Steven, and we founded this company. And we've been working on it since then. So Danny's background is in product management and in data science, and Steven is leading marketing and messaging on our team. And we're now a team of 6. We're based here in San Francisco. And I think that's it about us.
Amazing stuff. Now, you guys are going after a massive, massive, massive problem, right? So let's talk a little bit about what you guys are looking to solve, right? And how big is sort of this marketplace that you're looking to address?
Yeah, so what we're building is, so our company is called TrustToken, and what we're building is an asset tokenization platform. So that means connecting real world assets to cryptocurrencies. So like you could take, for example, a rental property and tokenize it using our platform into 100 rental property coins, where each coin corresponds to 1% ownership of the rental property. Now, this same technique can be applied to a whole variety of different types of assets: real estate, commodities, currencies, equities, debt, all kinds of assets. And the advantages that you get are the liquidity premiums. You get networks effects around those assets because multiple people are shareholders and incentivized to make the asset valuable. And there's a total of $256 trillion worth of real world assets. 215 trillion of that is real estate. And right now, the vast majority is illiquid. There's a huge potential to make that much more liquid using cryptocurrencies and blockchains. And the first major product that we're scaling on our platform is called TrueUSD. And it's pretty simple. It's just a tokenized US dollar product. It's one of the simplest things you can tokenize. It's just US dollars sitting in the bank account. And the way it works is that investors or traders can wire in, let's say, $10,000 to one of our partner banks, and then they'll get 10,000 tokens. Or they can send in 10,000 tokens, and then they'll get a wire from one of our partner banks for $10,000. And so the number of tokens in circulation and the number of US dollars in the bank account are always equal. So it's backed 1 for 1. And it's a much more liquid way of using US dollars, because you can take TrueUSD and you could send it around the world in seconds. That's way better than a bank wire, where with bank wires you have to you pay unknown fees, inflated exchange rates. It could take 3 to 5 days before it settles. And with something like TrueUSD, you could send that anywhere in the world, and you'd have about 10 times lower fees compared to the bank wire, and about 1,000 times faster clearing compared to a bank wire.
Very cool stuff, right? And especially with all this tether nonsense that's going on right now, the timing couldn't be better. So how far along are you with TrueUSD, right? So you guys recently released the alpha. You guys are looking for strategic partners in that sense. Like, would love to have you dive into that a little bit more, just because I think it's a very, very exciting part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're right now onboarding the first traders, funds, and exchanges that are going to be using TrueUSD. And the overall goal is just to be a stable coin that the whole crypto community can trust. And in terms of the status so far, we have an application that's live where you can wire money to get tokens, send in tokens, and get a wire out. There's a video walkthrough on YouTube on our TrustToken channel that you can check out. We're right now onboarding high volume traders that are going to be doing a lot of the trading and market making for TrueUSD.
Got it. Now, out of all of the different use cases, right? Because there are hundreds, if not thousands, right? And the real estate one struck a chord with me. I think I was telling you a little bit before this. What are you most excited about? Like, what do you think people are going to build on top of your platform? And maybe you don't know, but kind of, I'm sure that you guys have had roundtables around this and just sort of thought about the different, use cases. What do you think is going to be coming up on TrustToken in the near future? And again, what are you and your team most excited about?
Yeah, great question. We see assets like tokenizing US dollars, maybe euros after that, could be yen, gold, debt, as some of the easiest, lowest hanging fruit that we can use our tokenization platform to power. But down the road, most of our investors know that real estate is one of the hugest asset classes in the entire world, and pretty much has been since the beginning of money.
Yep.
And it's right now, real estate is completely illiquid. Like, as an investor, if I want to exposure to real estate in general, I have to buy an entire property. I have to hold it for like a decade while it appreciates, and then sell it. And if I could own 1% of a property in New York, 2% of a property in Paris, 3% of a property in Dubai, and if each one of those assets was liquidly tradable on global exchanges 24/7, that's worth a lot to me as an investor, and I would happily pay a premium for having that kind of liquidity. And so it's a little bit like it's like a little bit like water behind a dam, where illiquid assets are just more valuable when they are in liquid form. And so there's sort of a natural economic pressure towards liquidity. And that's why, as we make it easier and easier and open up our platform to allow people to tokenize more and more assets using the TrustToken platform, there's a lot of economic pressure and economic incentives for that to happen. Ultimately, we think that there are a lot of ways that that these types of assets can help the world. For example, even with just TrueUSD, having a stable coin you can trust is really valuable for all kinds of people, like families in Venezuela that are right now watching their life savings go to zero because they don't have access in their economy to any sort of currency that has stable value.
Right.
And it's a powerful it's a powerful threat to governments that might want to, always have the opportunity and could be tempted to just print and inflate their currency tremendously. If it's sort of a check and balance against them if their people have access to an alternative, like, for example, the US dollar, where with TrueUSD you can send US dollars. You can hold them on your phone, you can hold them on your laptop. You don't even need access to a bank to be able to now all of a sudden be able to receive and store and save US dollars. So we think that that's a stable coin you can trust really has a lot of potential to help people.
Sure. And so let's talk a little bit about the trust token, right? So if I had a real estate portfolio and I wanted to tokenize my asset, right? How do I use the trust token? How do I go ahead and get my asset, in a smart trust? Like, walk me through that whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to be clear, the trust token is a token that is native to the TrustToken platform, and it's not backed by any real world asset. It's different than the assets that are created on top of the trust token, like your rental property coin or TrueUSD or tokenized gold. Those are kind of asset tokens that are created on top of the platform.
Sure.
And the trust token is used in the platform. So the process for tokenization, there are two main things that you need. One is a legal entity which holds the asset on the behalf of the token holders. And the second thing is a fiduciary who is trusted by the token holders to manage the underlying asset. And so those are the two main things that our platform provides. You would log into our application, you describe the asset you want to tokenize. We would spin up what's called a smart trust, a special kind of trust. It's a legal entity that will hold your asset, like your rental property. You'd then retitle the rental property into the trust. So it's now owned by this new legal entity. And the legal entity specifies the holders of, like, you issue, Julian rental property coin. And the holders of that coin are the beneficiaries of this trust. And we have a network of professional trust companies that act as the trustees and professional fiduciaries for these assets. And so they're the ones that actually do the actual asset management and distributing the rental income or any other income that the asset generates to the token holders.
Very cool. Very cool. So, walk me through a little bit about like how far along are you guys with this project, right? I know that you've released a number of alpha products, but would love to sort of hear it directly from you on the progress and milestone that you guys have met recently.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned earlier, the first major asset coin that we're scaling on top of the Trust Token platform is TrueUSD. It's tokenized US dollars. It's just a stable coin you can trust. And in terms of other tokenization projects in the Trust Token platform, we have a whole variety of partners that are right now working with us and tokenizing assets. One of them is a startup called Neighborly. They're here in San Francisco. They raised about $30 million, and they're a municipal bonds marketplace. And municipal bonds are $1 billion a day market. It's highly illiquid, relatively difficult for most investors to access.
Yep.
And they're potentially very large gains if we can connect them to tokens and now plug into a very, very liquid and open access ecosystem. So they're one of the partners that's working with us. Another one is an artist named Taryn Southern, really innovative artist, hundreds of thousands of YouTube followers. And she has tokenized the royalties for one of her songs on our platform and then taken those tokens and given them to her fans as a way to make the fans more emotionally and now also economically invested in the success of this song. And it incentivizes them, kind of gives it network effects. And now they're incentivized to share the song, to play it for their friends, and to help it to become more successful and more viral.
That is so cool. That is really, really, really incredible stuff there. So from what I understand, you guys have a token generation event coming up in the near future. Would love to have you talk a little bit more about that. Anything that you could share would be incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. We are doing a pre-sale right now for our token, the Trust Token, which powers the Trust Token platform. And we're going to be doing a public sale later in 2018. And in terms of investors, we're looking for investors that really bring a lot of value to the table in terms of helping us to build a great team, connect with more banking partners and fiduciary partners and auditing partners, and really help to grow TrueUSD and the broader Trust Token platform.
And then what's the biggest challenge that you guys could potentially face, right? Especially with the regulatory stuff. Would love to have you kind of just give your input on that.
Yeah, absolutely. There are definitely large regulatory challenges as well as large technical challenges. And our perspective is that we want to be the most trusted tokenization platform, and we want to build the most trusted possible stablecoin on top of it. And so we're taking an approach of really planning for the long term and doing everything as by the book as possible in terms of regulation and really making sure that we're completely compliant. So we've got really top-notch fiduciary partners. We've got top-notch legal firms that we're working on. Some of the trust companies they work with are like Alliance Trust, Premier Trust, Sterling Trust, Wealth Advisor Trust Company. They manage in aggregate billions of dollars. And we're working with some of the top law firms as well to make all the legal structures really as sound as we possibly can, so that the token holders know that they can trust that the assets are really there and are in their name.
Sure. And so would you mind also too just kind of explaining to our viewers like how you guys are different from LA Token as well as BankX, right? Because I remember looking at those guys earlier. However, you guys stood out from the crowd. So I'd love to hear directly from you, like what are the biggest differentiating factors from what you guys are building versus those other platforms?
Yeah. So a lot of the other platforms that are doing tokenization leave the legal connection between the assets and the tokens as somewhat as an afterthought. And if you show the actual legal agreements that they've used to attorneys, which we have, you'll find that there are a lot of holes in them. And so our model is that we have a network of professional fiduciary partners and banking partners that manage and hold all of the assets, and we as a company hold none of it. So there isn't a central point of failure with us. Yeah. And additionally, all the assets are held in trust or in escrow accounts, and they're governed by an escrow agreement, which specifically designates the token holders as beneficiaries of the account. And so that way, in the example of TrueUSD, the true USD token holders have the legal right to redeem those funds, and we as a company have no right to touch those funds. So it's a very strong legal structure, and stronger than most of the other legal structures that have been used to connect assets to tokens.
Fantastic. Well, Raphael, it's been absolutely incredible to have you on. Really, really do appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with sort of our viewers before we sign off here?
Yeah, absolutely. If this is something that you're interested in being involved in, we're letting value-add investors join our pre-sale. We're also growing very quickly and are hiring across the board, engineering, marketing, recruiting, business development. And if you know great people that would be interested in working with us full-time here in San Francisco, please be in touch.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Raphael, thank you so much again for taking the time. Really, really excited to see how this all plays out. And I'm sure we'll be in touch very, very soon.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Julian.
All right. Take care.